FANG, Fighting Against Natural Gas, and we're going to hear from Kathy in a second. But just a bit about our group. We've been organizing to try to stop the Spectra pipeline expansion for almost 2 years now. With almost no money and with putting thousands and thousands of volunteer hours, into the campaign. I know some of us first came up here, 2 years ago and started knocking on doors, and then Kathy and a lot of other folks here. And a bit about FANG. We're a network of folks from across the eastern seaboard that are fighting the gas industry.
Spills happen, it's inevitable.
That's right.
Carry on.
So FANG is made up of folks fighting the gas industry at all forms, at all points of destruction, from the shale fields to the export terminals to the pipelines and the power plants. So we're going to hear a lot more about that in just a few minutes. We're going to have folks talking from each state that's resisting the Spectra pipeline expansion, and then from folks fighting other types of gas infrastructure. So a little bit about the campaign. I could talk forever about the Spectra pipelines, but I'll try to make it short. So there's 3 pipeline expansions that Spectra Energy, a Fortune 500 company, wants to build across the Northeast. Their main goal is exporting gas through the Maritimes in Canada. This right now is the first expansion that they're building, where the compressor station's being expanded in Burrville. So the first project cost $1 billion. Then there's a $500 million project, and the third one is the biggest and costs $3 billion, where they want to do more construction in Burrville. And folks in Burrville, I'm sure know this, but folks who aren't from Burrville, this town has been actually fighting the gas industry for 30 years. In 1985, Ocean State Power Plant was built in Burrville, and I looked at old news articles, and there was actually lawsuits, and folks from the town tried to stop that from happening. There's a Kinder Morgan pipeline that cuts through the northern part of the town, and in the early 2000s, one section of the town fought a new compressor station from being built. And now we've been fighting 2 years, the folks like Kathy and other folks in this room, to stop the expansion of the compressor station. And instead of listening to the folks here, this August, the governor of Rhode Island proposed a $700 million, 1,000 megawatt power plant right next to the Spectra compressor station, right? So I say that just to put some context of where we are in this space of Burrville, right? And just to give a shout out to all the folks from Burrville tonight who have been fighting despite all the setbacks over all the years. Just want to give a shout out to y'all. And sometimes it feels like, even when I started talking to some of my friends, we should stop this pipeline. That's such a small pipeline expansion comparatively. It's only $1 billion pipeline. What's the point? But, when we start out kind of small, now there's regional resistance across the Northeast, right? The second pipeline expansion has been reduced in size by 88%. Yeah! Spectra's profits the first quarter of this year also fell 88%. The second quarter, their profits fell 34%, and this past quarter, their profits fell another 12%, right? And just last week, Steve wrote an article. 2 whistleblowers from Spectra Energy came to FANG with information. One was a former top and safety inspector on the project. And what they told us was that Spectra is freaking out so bad about all the people in this room that they're trying to rush and build it as quickly as possible. They're forcing their workers to work 70, 80 hours a week. People are getting burns. People are passing out from heat exhaustion on the job. People are tipping over giant cranes. And the whistleblowers told us that they were instructed by Spectra how to hide things from safety reports. They were pressured by Spectra to keep things out of emails because they don't want, proof of the things that were happening on the job site. And the other thing they said about our group, FANG, is that we're really awful people that are going to do all these awful things, and that Spectra workers are trained about us. But despite all that, they still came and talked to us and told us that they want to ally themselves with folks like everyone in this room that's fighting this project. So I think that's just really powerful to think about where we started 2 years ago to where we are now, where this company's struggling everywhere they're building. We're going to hear about that. And where their own employees are coming to their opponents to talk about how awful the company is. And this week, after the whistleblower report, and it's not all about money, but it's, we have to find our victories when we can. Spectre's stock price has plummeted to its lowest level in almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so why we're here today, so I'm from Rhode Island. I know a lot of Rhode Islanders are here. Driving to Burrville from Providence takes like 45 minutes. I remember there's like a joke in Rhode Island, like if your cousin's getting married like more than 45 minutes away, you don't go or you have to book a hotel, right? So we want to just give folks an opportunity from across Rhode Island and across the region to come and meet with folks. And a lot of us have done like actions and different things, and maybe you didn't get a chance to meet us and just see how we are like regular folks and just have conversations and share a meal together. And that was something important for us. We also wanted to like try to give back. You've been gracious enough, the folks from Burrville, to have us walking through town, handing out flyers. So we want to give a meal. We're also doing the food and coat drive to give to local charities. So just also want to have that, to try to give back a little bit from what we can. And lastly, just before we take action tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But just to build a sense of community, so when we're rallying and marching tomorrow, you're not with a group of strangers. You're at least with folks that you've seen once before.